Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. A man has been arrested after an unprovoked attack on an elderly woman downtown. We have more on her condition and reaction from community members coming up. And is Windsor-Essex meeting the bar when it comes to recycling? We take a look tonight. Plus, it's official. Today marks the start of Pride in Windsor-Essex. The festivities bigger than years previous, but so is the need for security. We have more on why that is coming up. Well, our top story tonight, police have arrested a man they say attacked an 84-year-old woman downtown this week. The CBC's Jacob Barker has the details.
The attack happened Wednesday morning just in front of this downtown bar. A surveillance camera catching the attack at around 7 a.m. One worker here who viewed the footage says that the attack was totally unprovoked.
She was walking along, minding her own business. He came up behind her, pushed her, and it was a pretty violent push. She hit the ground, and then he kind of swung. He was on top of her, he was around her. It wasn't good. A couple of people kind of showed up on the scene and discouraged his presence.
He's shared the tape with police, but says he won't show others because of the nature of the crime. He says the man involved has caused problems at the bar before.
I've seen him several times. He goes by here intimidating our customers, trying to start something, trying to, encourage. I don't know if he's looking for a place to stay for the night or what, but very, very menacing. I'm not a small guy, but I don't want to deal with this guy.
Police say that the 37-year-old man and the 84-year-old woman didn't know each other. The woman was treated for multiple injuries at the hospital. A downtown counselor is close with the woman's family. Is she okay?
Yes, I think she's okay. I don't think that's a question. I guess define okay. You know what I mean? Is she gonna survive? Absolutely, but I don't know how you come back, mentally from this, and that's part of it too.
It's had an effect.
It's had an effect. I think it's going to have an effect on her family. It's certainly had an effect on me.
Agostino says the woman comes from a family that are doing incredible things for the community. He says he's already spoken with other levels of government about the attack.
We all got to come together here. This is safety. This is our community. This is our people. It's the only thing that matters over everything else. Everything else will take care of itself if people feel safe, and this is what we got to keep working towards.
Windsor police have boosted presence in the area twice this summer, putting more personnel on the ground, specifically in downtown, temporarily. Today, people say they feel anything but safe.
Scary. We need more protection for us women down here, not just for our women, for all of us. We need more protection. More cops, more safety. I don't want to work at nighttime and I get, out of here at 11 and someone tries to attack me. I don't want that.
As an immigrant student, it's a lot of, safety concerns that I need to, be aware of. And, that is how it makes me feel like a little bit of a scared situation.
Some that have worked in the area for years have felt a shift. Do you feel safe in downtown Windsor?
No anymore. No anymore. When I going home, I'm more and more is scared. And I try to avoid, and I have to now to change route. I don't know which way anymore go. You're really not anymore safe in this city. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how they think it's safe. I wish to know, to explain how they think it's safe.
Police say that the suspect was arrested shortly after the attack. He's been charged with aggravated assault. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
We have an update on the story we brought you last night about the police raid on a magic mushroom store in downtown Windsor. Police say the owner is now a wanted man. Here's a look at what officers took from the Fun Guy shop yesterday afternoon. These are magic mushroom products. Police say they seized thousands of dollars worth, along with a range of items used to help sell the drugs to people. These drugs are banned from recreational use and only legal with certain prescriptions. Officers have arrested and charged a 22-year-old employee. This is the second time the shop has been raided. Police now have an arrest warrant issued for the person they say owns the store. As for the shop, it's back open today. Residents in Windsor-Essex could up their game when it comes to recycling. That's according to the City of Windsor. Not so much the quantity, but more so the quality of what we're sending to our sorting facilities. The CBC's Lamia Abu Zaid was at the depot to learn more.
After all your recyclables are collected from the curb, it ends up here at Essex Windsor Solid Waste Authority. The materials are then sorted based on category, and then they get sold to buyers. Anne-Marie Albadoni is the Manager of Environmental Services with the City of Windsor. She says people in Windsor are very avid recyclers, but sometimes...
My sense is that most of the time that's because people have run out of room in their recycle boxes. And so the easy thing to do then is to just throw it in their garbage.
According to Essex Windsor Solid Waste Authority, between 2021 and 2022, the diversions are currently sitting in a good spot, and it will be better once Windsor joins the Regional Organic Waste Project in 2025.
Research tells us that we should see anywhere potentially up to a 10% increase in our diversion rate as a result of taking food waste out of the garbage.
Ontario has a set interim goal to have diversion rates at 50% by 2030, and by 2050 they want to hit 80%. A senior advisor for the Association of Municipalities of Ontario says the province's current rate shows there's a lot more work that needs to be done to reach that goal. Dave Gordon suggests creating a policy to have recycling mandated in the industrial and commercial sectors, and creating organic collection programs for those sectors. As for residents, officials say Windsorites can also help by participating in the Blue Box program and make sure their containers are empty and clean. Lamia Abuzaid, CBC News, Windsor.
The Ontario government is spending billions less than planned so far this year. According to the province's financial watchdog, one area that government spending is down, health.
There was about $1.2 billion lower spending in the COVID-19 response program. And so that's less COVID testing, less the vaccine rollout was launched the previous year. So it's those kind of factors.
Overall, the Financial Accountability Office says government spending is about $7 billion less than planned this year, along with less spending in health. Spending was also down in post-secondary education and children and social services. The finance critic for the Ontario Liberal Party calling the Ford government fiscally irresponsible for underspending in healthcare, education, and infrastructure. It was one of the many troubling headlines in the first months of Canada's battle with COVID-19, the cancellation of surgeries. Now a report on several healthcare issues is looking at those cancellations, and the numbers are staggering. The CBC's Tashana Reid reports.
The Canadian Institute for Health Information analyzed data from provincial and territorial governments that focused on key health issues in Canada, from staffing shortages to access to mental health and addiction services. Surgery backlogs is one of the issues highlighted. The report says in the first 2.5 years of the pandemic, there were more than 740,000 fewer surgeries performed in Canada. That is a drop of about 13%, and things varied from province to province. The largest drop in surgeries was in Newfoundland and Labrador, where surgeries were cut by 21%. And furthermore, people from lower income neighborhoods were more likely to be impacted by backlogs.
If you're from a low income working class community, you're even farther behind in terms of accessing surgery than other people in Canada. And unfortunately, this is not a new pattern.
The data also showed about 1 in 10 Canadians reported not having regular access to a healthcare provider, and that access varies depending on where you live. Only 24% of people living in Nunavut had access to regular care, versus 90% in Ontario and New Brunswick. And young adults were the least likely group to have a regular care provider. The report is the result of an agreement between Ottawa and provinces and territories to improve their collection and reporting of health data in exchange for billions in healthcare funding. But there are some gaps. Quebec did not participate in the report, and specific data about First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people is not included.
It speaks volumes to the fact that it's only really happening now where we're seeing agreement around using and leveraging data to put patients and families first in the sort of outcomes and advocacy that's required to keep governments accountable.
Health advocates say this is only the first step. Next, governments need to follow up with solutions and investments. Tashana Reid, CBC News, Toronto.
A colorful announcement today. Windsor-Essex Pride is officially underway. That's the pride flag being lifted to the top of the flagpole at City Hall today, a symbol that this year's pride celebrations have begun, and the festivities will go on longer this year with more days of activities, which happens from today to August 13th, the 13th being the day of the parade. Pride President Wendy Nicholson says as the festivities grow, so does the need for increased security. Nicholson says some of the anti-trans legislation seen in the States has equated to an increase in hate. And this year, they're warning the LGBTQ community to be more vigilant than years past.
It is. It's disheartening. It stabs me right in the heart. The racism, everything else to go with it is seeping over here. We have not had to really worry about protesters in the past years since I've been involved. Now we have that in the back of our head. It's like, okay, we have to be prepared. We have to watch for this.
Well, sticking with the states, former U.S. President Donald Trump is due in court in Washington tomorrow. He's facing arraignment on 4 counts of conspiring to overturn the 2020 presidential election. These are the most serious of the 78 criminal charges he's facing over 3 different investigations. CBC's Chris Reyes has the latest.
Awaiting another arraignment for former President Donald Trump, his 3rd indictment this year. This time he'll appear in Washington, D.C. on conspiracy charges relating to the January 6 attack on the Capitol. Trump faces 4 counts in total, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstructing an official proceeding, and fueling tensions that led to the storming of the Capitol in 2021. Special Prosecutor Jack Smith delivered the charges in detail in a 40-plus pages indictment unsealed on Tuesday.
The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021, was an unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies.
The court document charges that Trump in 2020 knew he lost the election and spread lies about election fraud with co-conspirators who have not been named. The indictment goes on to allege that Trump tried to put in fake electors in some states, as well as pressure his then VP Mike Pence not to certify the election. Pence, who's also running for president in 2024, has repeatedly distanced himself from Trump.
For my part, I want people to know that I had no right to overturn the election, and that what the president maintained that day, and frankly has said over and over again over the last 2.5 years, is completely false.
Earlier this year, Trump was charged in New York State in connection to payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. In June, he formally faced charges in a Miami courthouse for allegedly mishandling classified documents after he left office. Trump has continued to slam all the charges he's facing, calling them politically motivated attacks. On social media and in campaign rallies, he's continued to insist the election was stolen from him, despite no evidence to prove the case.
This is politics. This indictment is about pure politics. We engage in vigorous debate in this country about politics. What we don't do is criminalize political speech.
Trump will appear in court in Washington, D.C. on Thursday. He'll face a judge that's already handled some of the cases involving those who stormed the Capitol on January 6. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Well, back here in Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife, Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, have announced they are formally separating. The announcement was made by both of them on social media today. They've been married for 18 years. CBC's Marina von Stackelberg has more.
Justin Trudeau and Sophie Gregoire Trudeau, last seen together 1 month ago at Ottawa's Canada Day celebrations, broke the news of their breakup also together, posting identical statements on their Instagram accounts. After many meaningful and difficult conversations, we have made the decision to separate. As always, we remain a close family with deep love and respect for each other and for everything we have built and will continue to build, asking for privacy. The Prime Minister's office confirmed the pair have signed a legal separation agreement, adding the Trudeaus are focused on raising their kids in a safe, loving, and collaborative environment. Both parents will be a constant presence in their children's lives, and Canadians can expect to often see the family together. 51-year-old Trudeau and 48-year-old Gregoire Trudeau met in 2003 and were married in 2005. They have 3 children, 15-year-old Xavier, 14-year-old Ella Grace, and 9-year-old Hadrian.
Politics is hard. It's hard on marriage. As a mother, my thoughts go to their kids. A child who's grown up, the child of a sitting prime minister, will always be in the public limelight.
Gregoire Trudeau has been a public face throughout her husband's political career, especially since his 2015 election win. She's become a public figure in her own right, an advocate for gender equality and mental health.
By loving who you are, for who you are, you're making everything else possible. And let me tell you, beside me right now stands a man that I love deeply.
The two have been publicly affectionate.
Don't go yet, my love.
But also candid about the challenges of marriage, saying their own wasn't perfect or easy. Trudeau, a child of divorce himself. His parents separated in 1979 when he was a little boy. Pierre Trudeau, the only other Canadian prime minister to split with his wife while in office.
Sources tell CBC News Sophie Gregoire Trudeau has moved out to her own home in Ottawa. Justin Trudeau and their children are expected to stay at Rideau Cottage, where she will also spend time. The Prime Minister's office says the entire family will be taking a vacation next week together. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, is it too soon to be talking about the weather this long weekend? We'll have the details coming up. Wildfire evacuation orders have been issued in a popular tourist area north of Pemberton, British Columbia. The Downton Lake fire has doubled in size since Monday and is being called critical by local officials. The fire now covers nearly 16 square kilometers and is threatening a number of small communities between Downton Lake and Gun Lake. Along with the evacuation orders, a large area is on evacuation alert, meaning people should be ready to leave on a moment's notice. The number of people affected isn't known at the time, but there are dozens of properties and at least 200 cabins in the area. Provincial officials say the fire has been burning since July 13th. It's believed to have been started by lightning. Well, Ethan Williams joins us tonight with a weather update.
Well, Meg, temperature-wise, we're sitting pretty seasonal for this time of year once again. Pretty comfortable, mid-20s for a lot of us in the Windsor area and southwestern Ontario. When you factor in the humidex, though, we start to see that pick up a little bit through the afternoon. Low 30s with the humidex through a lot of our area. Still back in kind of the upper 20s as you work your way toward the GTA. But with that humidex picking up, we are looking at the chance of some storms moving in tomorrow. This is valid noon tomorrow. And for us, we're kind of in this level 1 out of 4 risk for storms. I think the most severe storms will be back toward the GTA, but still possible strong winds, nickel to golf ball sized hail, and heavy rain is a possibility as we head through tomorrow. Here's what's happening. I'll take you through kind of a step-by-step timeline here. We're seeing this low pressure system that's been bringing storms to northern Ontario begin to move through. The warm front bringing showers to the GTA tonight, I think will remain mostly clear from that. And then the cold front from this system starts moving in, and that's when we could see a chance of showers and storms. Marginal, though, I think, as we head toward tomorrow. And in through Friday, we'll likely see some clearing skies and things starting to moderate a bit after that. Now, in terms of rainfall accumulation, again, very spotty. If we do see anything, it'll just be from the little pop-up showers and storms. Higher amounts, though, to the north and east of us. In terms of winds, even though we are starting to see the system move through, I think it looks like we'll stay mostly moderate in terms of gusts, maybe close to 30 at some points, but other than that, nothing really too significant. Now, for the rest of the work week and heading into the long weekend, those temperatures will be hot tomorrow and Friday, with the humidex tomorrow back into the mid-30s. Starting the weekend clouding over a bit, and then Sunday, Monday, not looking too great right now. Possible showers and cloudiness, possible showers and thunderstorms on Monday with winds picking up, but then temperatures quickly rebounding, and the humidex values as well, Meg, as those overnight lows start to increase as well.
Well, thanks so much for that, Ethan. The war in Ukraine continues to rage on. We have some of the latest details that's coming up. Ukrainian officials are once again assessing the damage following a Russian attack on one of their ports, a port handling grain. It's now been 2 weeks since Russia withdrew from the agreement securing wartime grain shipments on the Black Sea. The CBC's Peter Armstrong reports.
Another night of air sirens, another night of drone attacks. Officials say they shot down the drones over Kyiv, but the attacks on the port cities in the south made it past their air defenses. Russia has stepped up its attacks on Black Sea ports since it backed out of a year-old deal to allow grain shipments out of Odessa. Ukraine is one of the world's biggest suppliers of grain. It's vital for the global food supply. And with each attack, the price of wheat goes up. So when Russia started blockading the main southern port of Odessa, Ukraine started using these smaller ports in the southwest of the country. They've been a crucial lifeline for the grain exports, but attacks like these will both hamper those shipments, but they'll also pose a whole new suite of risks. The town of Ismail is nestled right up against the border of Romania, and it doesn't take much to nudge an errant drone or an airstrike off course. And if it landed on the wrong side of the border, that could lead to a whole new escalation. Romania, of course, is a NATO member, and there are fears an errant strike could drag the whole alliance into a more direct role in the Russia-Ukraine war. So Western officials are trying to get the grain deal back on track. The U.S. ambassador to the UN has said she remains cautiously optimistic that the Russians will rejoin. Meanwhile, Russian officials say they are more than willing to rejoin the deal, but only once their demands are met. And since the original deal was brokered last summer, Russia has complained that the international community failed to make good on its promise that Russia could also export its grain and its fertilizer as part of that deal. And as this impasse drags on, the damage, but also the potential for escalation continue. Peter Armstrong, CBC News, London.
You may remember a story we brought you last month when a retail worker from Toronto found an ultra-rare collectible, one-of-a-kind card. The card was created for the tabletop fantasy game Magic: The Gathering as part of a collection celebrating the Lord of the Rings. Well, now the owner has sold the precious possession to artist Post Malone. Today he spoke to us about the sale and shared his reaction when he first saw the card.
My heart was racing, my hands were shaking. It's just, I knew. I just couldn't think it could happen to me, you know? It was like, how does someone, just a regular person, have something like this? And I knew, like, it's life-changing. It happened so fast, like I can't even tell you. It was amazing. I knew he was a big fan, and I think the premise was, like, just to, like, before it leaves my hands and kind of goes anywhere else, I kind of wanted him to see it, maybe hold it, because I know he'd appreciate it. And he really appreciated it.
He told CBC that he sold the card to Malone for $2 million US. He says at this point he has no plans to quit his job and will be investing the money. Lots of excitement on Post Malone's face there. He must be a Lord of the Rings fan. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. As usual, The National is on at 10 on television and on streaming platforms. And you can download the CBC News app on your devices from the App Store or Google Play. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night.